Hello and welcome to Mr. Wiley Teaches Math. Today we're going to talk about Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem works with any right triangle. So anytime that you see a triangle with a square corner in it, it's going to work for this. The longest side is always opposite the right angle. And this longest side, or the hypotenuse is a special name, is always going to be named C when we work through this theorem. The two shorter sides, it doesn't really matter which ones we call which and which, are called A and B. Pythagorean theorem says that if you take length A and you square it, or you multiply it by itself, you take B side and you multiply it by itself or you square it, you add those together, you're going to get the second side square. We can think about this as triangles. We've got this short side, which is 5 in length, but 5 times 5 is 25. We have this side here we're going to call B. It's 12 in length. 12 times 12 is 144. If we add those together, we get 169. So it's 25 plus 144. And that's going to be, these two smaller squares are going to add up the same area as this larger square. So we can say that 169 is the same as C squared. So if we take the square root of both sides, you can find out the distance, the side. In this case, it ends up being 13. So we're going to use square roots this time. If it isn't a perfect square like this one, you're welcome to use a calculator to calculate it. But if you see a perfect square like 13 times 13, hopefully we can identify those. So let's try a couple of these using Pythagorean theorem. I've got a small triangle here. One side is 16 centimeters, obviously not drawn at scale, but and this side is 12 centimeters. So let's see if we can find out the missing side. So I see my right angle, so I know this is going to be my longest side, my hypotenuse, which I call C. And I'm going to call the other two, just keep it the same as above, A and B. So I know that A squared, or 12 squared, plus 16 squared is equal to the square of the missing side, C squared. 12 times 12 is 144. 16 times 16 is 256. It's equal to C squared. So I'm going to have to add those up. 144 and 256 to get my total. So 0, 0, 400. So 400 is equal to C squared. So I have to undo this squaring, and the way to undo something being squared by itself is to take the square root. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I have to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of 400 is the same as the square root of C squared. Well, that one's easy to do. C times C equals C squared. So the square root of C squared is C. And in this case, 20 times 20. So my missing side, C, is 20 centimeters in length. Work through that from the A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Alright, so we have one more triangle here. We'll work through A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I know that's going to work because I see a right triangle. So I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to say the hypotenuse is C. And I've been given it this time. Excuse me. C is 7 centimeters in length. And I have two other sides. We have A and B. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Well, I could change this around and say that C squared subtract A squared is going to give me B squared. Now if I went back to my original, my A squared, if I take that amount away from here, it's going to leave me with this size. So I'm saying C squared subtract this chunk is going to give me this chunk left. Alright, so C squared, or 7 squared, subtract A squared, which is 6 squared, Should give me my this missing side squared. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 minus 36 is b squared. 49 minus 36. Turn off to the side to make sure I get it right. Gives me 13. So 13 is the same as b squared. I want to get rid of that squared, so again I'm going to take the square root, and I have to take the square root of 13, which I could use and eventually funnel down and know that it's between 3 squared and 4 squared. It's between 3 and 4. But in this case, I'm going to use a calculator. Now, the square root of 13 is 3.605, which is approximately equal to b. So I could say b is equal to 3.6 centimeters. Okay, thank you for watching. Be sure to check the class website for additional examples and the assignments.